Hello, parents. I'm going to walk you through a tutorial for how to use the parent side of our online portal so that you are able to work with your child's teachers and you are able to know for yourself how you can have conversations with your child and to know where they stand in the BehaviorFlip system. So the first screen I'm going to show you after logging into your account and your username and password should have been sent to you by the school or at least login credentials. So after you log into our online portal, what you're going to see right here is the tab that says Children. If you have multiple children, they will all appear in this same window. So as you can see right here, I have Tom and I also have Doug, and those are my two children that are within the BehaviorFlip system. When I'm looking right here at respect, responsibility, and resiliency, keep in mind that these are three distinct categories that the school is going to keep track of and to let you know where they stand and what consequences your student might have. But also, if you look at the resiliency, you'll see all of the great things that your child is doing as well. So whenever a teacher or an administrator or a staff member of the school logs something for your child, and I'm going to show you where that goes and how you can view that, what's going to happen is that it's going to add towards a cumulative total and a progress bar that's going to let you know where your child stands at all times. So for example, when we look at Tom and we look over here at responsibility, you'll see that Tom has had one bubble filled in for responsibility. One bubble equals one consequence that is going to be happening either at the classroom level or the administrator level at the school. So do keep in mind that we want to make sure that if we see our child going towards an intervention, we want to make sure that we have that coaching moment with them, as a caregiver or as a parent. And at the school, we're going to be having conversations with students as well to make sure that we're not repeating the same behaviors. So when you look down here at Doug, which is the second child listed down here, you can see that Doug, under responsibility, he has three different interventions that have taken place at the school or the classroom level. When I look right here at intervention 3, the third bubble, you can see that he has moved a little bit past the third level. That means Doug has done one or two things that were under the responsibility category that was logged by his teacher or an administrator. So Doug has a chance to make things right, and Doug has a chance to be careful so that he does not, in fact, get to intervention 4, which is this bubble right here. So just keep in mind that one behavior logged is not an intervention. One behavior logged adds up towards an official intervention by the teacher or by the school. You can also see that Doug is doing great with his resiliency stars. Resiliency stars work the same way, where when your child does really good things that are logged at the school level, those really good things add up towards stars. So they work the same way, where certain behaviors will help a kid earn credit towards each star. And your school will determine what happens when students earn stars as a recognition system. I'm going to show you more about where these behaviors go and how that works. So when I click on my inbox right here, when I talked before about those bubbles filling in, those bubbles filling in were indicators that your child needed an intervention in some way because of some sort of behavior issue. And I'm going to show you what that looks like and what you can see as the parent. What I can see right here, and this is for Tim, and I can scroll down here and I can see my other child, which is listed down below. Right there, that's Doug's. So let's go back up to Tim. When I look at Tim and I look at his consequences, what I can see is that he had a respect consequence. That means that bubble filled. I have right here what happened. So when I look right here, I can see the consequence that was enacted with him. I can see right here that it was resolved because it has a big purple check. I can actually go in here as a parent and open this up, and I can see any documentations that occur. So when I look down here at something like this, I'll be able to read if there's any comments left by the administrator or by the teacher. When I look right here, this is where the teacher would take their notes or the administrator would take their notes, and this is where it would indicate to you that your student had, repaired the harm, your student had, they threw food in the cafeteria, And the way that they fixed that was to clean the cafeteria. Anything that did in fact happen during that intervention will be logged right here. You can also see that your student has had positive interventions. So when you look right here at resiliency, that means your student was actually rewarded with a parent email or a star or something of that nature. But do keep in mind that you'll be able to track every time that bubble fills or every time a star is filled, what exactly did happen at the school level, which is easier for you to keep track of. Down here is where I can see every single event logged for my students, and I can see what teacher logged it right here or what administrator logged it. I can see that I'm looking at positive events right here when I'm looking at resourcefulness, when I'm looking at active kindness, when I'm looking at something like effort. Those are all positive things. I can also look and see when my child gets logged something that's not so positive, like a profanity. So if I look right here at this date and I look at the event name, profanity, I can see with what teacher I can actually go in here and say what it was that was said with my students. And of course, we don't want our students to say things that are, profanity in nature. When I look down here at something like teasing, same thing. I can go in here and look, and I could see any documentation for teasing that occurred there. When I look at something like a cell phone, I could see that they did in fact have their cell phone out, and they were reminded twice, and they still did not put it away. I can also go in here and read something positive when it comes to community service or when it comes to school service. I can go in here and read that my child did in fact help pick up the classroom. So I can also see the positive things and the positive comments that are logged for my child, which is really helpful, a way for you to know exactly what happened. Now, do keep in mind, as a parent, this is something you want to coach your kids towards. If your student does get something that's a negative log, they can in fact repair the harm of that action. In other words, your student can make it right with that teacher or make it right with their class. So if you look at something like insubordination, they refuse the teacher's request to sit down, okay? What your child can do is they can go to your teacher that next day or whenever it's convenient and say, hey, I got logged for insubordination. I want to fix that. Can I fix that with you? What will happen in that process is that your child and your teacher will come up with a plan for how they can fix the fact that they were insubordinate. The child might say, can I move seats for a few days? Or they might say, can I offer an apology to you to make this right? If your child and your teacher come up with a plan they agree on to repair that harm, what will happen is that behavior, when we look up here at your progress bar, that behavior towards their next intervention, that event will go away. That weight will go away. So it is possible for Doug right here, when he has a bar going past the third bubble, if Doug does in fact go up to that teacher for that log entry and say, you know what, I'm sorry that I wouldn't listen yesterday. What can I do to fix this? And your teacher and your child agree to a plan, you might see your child's progress bar actually go in reverse. And the child can actually start to lose some of this progress towards interventions. And that's when it becomes really effective, is when your child does something in class that maybe they shouldn't, and then they go and they fix it, which teaches accountability, it teaches responsibility, and it helps build empathy for others that they impacted by their actions. So do keep in mind that when your child does in fact do something that is logged, they do have the option to try to fix it with that teacher that they caused that disruption with, or they caused that insubordination with. And your school can explain more about that, but that's one of the best parts about our system, is that we actually look at how can we fix the things that we do in class when we do things that harm the learning environment. So again, you can see the behaviors, you can see the consequences right here when the bubbles fill. You can see specific behaviors that are logged right here. And if I scroll down far enough, I can start getting into where my other students' events, Doug's events, are in his consequences and his data. Now, another great feature with our app, and if your school has this on, some schools might choose not to have the chat feature on, but if they do in fact have the chat feature on, I can actually start a conversation with the teacher. So I can look for Jason, who's my child's teacher. And when I look for Jason right here, I can actually start a chat with Jason and say, please reminds John to give you his permission slip. And when I do that, that message will be sent to my teacher, and the teacher will be able to respond back to my message. So it's kind of a direct messaging system with your teacher as an alternative to emailing them or having to call. So do keep in mind, it's real simple. If you do want to chat with your teacher, you just have to search for the educator right there, and then you just have to send them a message as we talked about before. And again, your school may choose to use this feature, or they might have it off. Under the help feature, this is something where we can, in fact, report things to the school. We could report if your child was experiencing or another child was experiencing bullying, if your child was experiencing a mental health issue, or if there was an anonymous tip. And again, your school would have to have this feature turned on, which they might not. And this would be a place where you could click right here. I could select which one of my children. I could select that they were, we had some kind of physical thing going on, and you could describe a situation on the school bus. So again, this is only if your school has this on, and after I put my documentation, I would push the submit button, and that would go to the administration staff at the school. So do keep that in mind, and this is only if this feature is turned on for your school. Now, when I go down here to settings, I can change my password if I need to, and that's fairly convenient if there's a reason why you want to change your password. And the last feature I'm going to show you is the support button. The support button is going to give you options, and this will go to our staff at BehaviorFlip. And if you have a specific question for an administrator or a teacher at your school, you're going to have to contact them directly. This is if you have something that is a problem or something you have a question about on the BehaviorFlip end, as far as the software works, not as far as what teacher did what, or what teacher gave consequence for what. That's, again, a school level email or a school level notification using the chat feature. This is if you have a question with our actual software. All right, well, I want to thank you. And if you have any further questions about how to use BehaviorFlip, please email or call your school. And I wish you all the best. And thank you for watching the tutorial.